church is also, I think, against the decriminalization of the LGBTQ or the legalization of LGBTQI marriages. So my question, and this is genuinely even a question that I also have as an individual, should the church dictate such laws? And the reason why I'm asking this is, don't you think that could be like Christianizing that space? I think I want us to take a different turn a little bit now. So we've talked about like regulation, we've talked about like some policies that probably the church is influencing. But now let's get into politics now. We had a summit for church and politics. I'll link some of the videos from that summit if you want to watch them. But yes, so we talked about a couple of things. And one of the things that I think was answered during the summit was, should a pastor vie for office while they're still a pastor? I think we've seen a couple of pastors do that and probably even won and become members of parliament. Do you think that is correct? Is this against the Bible in any way?
I would say correct is not the right question.
Okay.
Yeah, because correct gives you the right and wrong kind of answer, which, as you may have known by now, for me, I am not
you don't have that one.
I'm not a dichotomous person.
Okay.
I don't like yes and no answers. So it is not an issue of correct.
Yeah.
The issue is politics, as we said at the summit, is part of God's agenda. It is unfortunate that people have looked at this as outside of God's agenda. Politics is part of God's agenda. God is a politician, Yeah. I know some Christians may not want to to say that. Because right from Genesis all the way to Revelation, which is the whole Bible, is a political agenda, which starts in the Garden of Eden and is going to end in the kingdom of heaven. Yeah. Okay. And in between, it's politics, So, but in God's structure of politics, there is a clear, let me not say very clear, but there's a division between who does what.
Yeah.
So we have priests, and priests have a very specific role that they play in the agenda of God. These are the people who respond to the needs of the people and bring the needs of the people to God. That's what you would call a pastor today. Okay. Then we have the prophets. The prophets are people who God has appointed to bring the mind of God into society, not necessarily to just the church, but to society in general. And we see that in the Bible, we see it even today, so that God can reveal his mind or what he's thinking about the country of Kenya. And a prophet would say, this is what God is saying about Kenya. It doesn't matter whether we accept it or not. That is not an issue. It will come to pass if it is of God, yes. Because God doesn't require our permission to do what he wants to do.
That is true.
Okay? So those are two specific roles. The third role in God's government is a king. The government, what we would now today call the government. Now, the government, like in our case, the President Uhuru Kenyatta, is God's servant who has been given the responsibility to ensure that the country of Kenya is in good order, that the people's welfare is taken care of. And he is responsible to God just like I, as a pastor, am responsible to God. That is something that we have not yet appreciated. People think that for anybody to be a servant of God, they must be born again, No, God is beyond born again. God is this whole universe is under his control. So these leaders play that role. Now, when you look at the that's how that structure plays in the Bible times. The priest had his role, the prophet has his role, the king has his role.
Yeah.
And when any of them crossed into each other's paths, God himself brought judgment. You know, in the time of Samuel and Saul, Saul was the king, Samuel was the prophet. The king would seek the mind of God through the prophet, whether he should or should not go to war. Okay. And Saul was going to war. And Samuel has said, yes, God is going to go with you. Yeah. But before you get into battle, I will come and offer a sacrifice. Now, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, Samuel was late. Like many of us sometimes are late. So Samuel,
African time.
Samuel was operating on African time. I don't think so. So he was late. So when Saul saw that the battle was getting really hard and people were really getting scattered, he decided to offer the sacrifice. And right there, judgment was pronounced upon him because he had crossed the path which he was not supposed to. So I've given you that long story to answer your short question.
Okay.
When I've been called as a pastor, and in the time that I'm serving as a pastor, my responsibility is to serve God in that space. Somebody else will be called as a king, and is to serve God in that space as a king. And when I use king comes all the way from MCA to the president. Those are all in the kingship role. So if I were to now go into the king space as a pastor, first of all, it brings division within the church. Because in a church, especially in a cosmopolitan setting, like say in the cities and towns, I am a pastor of a large congregation made up of people of different political persuasions. So if I come out and say, for example, I am a Jubilee supporter or candidate for that matter, what do those people who don't believe in Jubilee do? And they are part of my congregation. I already put them in a dilemma. I put them in a difficult situation. Because on the one hand, they want to support me as their pastor. On the other hand, they don't believe in the party that I have gone for. Are you together?
Yes.
So that brings confusion, and God is not a God of confusion. So I may force myself and say, no, God has called me. Then step down. Step down from being a priest.
Okay.
Yes, there's no problem. Like say now for myself, I'm no longer leading a congregation. I'm no longer leading a church. If I sense that God is calling me into the political space, I could go there because then I'm making myself available to Kenyans, including my former congregational members, to choose whether they agree with me or not. But they are not put in that dilemma that I would put them if I was still in office. So that is a very clear separation that is there in the scriptures, and even from just a practical point of view, it's there. I have seen, you mentioned some pastors that have gone into that space, and I've talked with some of them who have been very bitter. I say, even my members didn't vote for me. Why should they vote for you?
Why?
Why? Because voting is a free will. I make a free choice. And if I didn't think you are the kind of person who could deliver what I'm thinking, then I don't vote. Yes, it's my choice. But you see, that expectation that because I am your bishop, because I'm your pastor, you should vote for me, already creates a tension and a confusion within the church space, which should not be there.
I completely agree with that. And in fact, you've actually just alluded to what I was going to ask next. When we're talking about, with politics comes a lot of division, and just people have different persuasions for various reasons, and those reasons might also not be correct reasons, because some people will choose a specific political inclination because of tribe, or mainly tribe.
Yes.
And so in this space, actually, what we're trying to do is, let's talk about issues. We keep saying, what are those issues? We don't even know sometimes how to go about discussing those issues. And so how can the church play a role in dealing with some of those divisions, especially that are caused by tribe, and more into a discussion about specific issues, specific policies? How do you think the church is best placed to lead that kind of conversation? And if so, how can we go towards that direction?
Yes, that is a role that the church could play, and has been playing, and will continue to play. Because, like we have said, leadership of a nation is a God-given mandate. It's a God-given mandate. And therefore, as church, we cannot just step back and let whoever will go in. We would want to see a situation where people who come into leadership are people who have the welfare and interest of the people at heart. We would want to see a people who will uphold the relevant values for the nation, people who are given to lifting up the welfare of the people. So this is what we advocate for. So we will not go out and say, vote for so and so. But we'll say, please vote for people who will uphold the welfare of the nation. So when we see people are obviously corrupt in practice, they have been accused of corrupt deals. They have no moral values. You can see how they conduct themselves, and these people present themselves for elections. Then we would want the electorate to shun those people and go for people of integrity, people who have certain morals and values, people who have been proven to have the interest of the people at heart. These are things that we would raise, and there are those people, such people are available. Now, the unfortunate thing in our particular context in Kenya is that money plays a big role in our electoral process. And so in spite of, and then the fact that a big majority of the electorate is poor, it becomes very difficult for you to convince a poor, hungry person who has not eaten for several days that they cannot receive the 100 shillings that will help them to go and buy, That's a hard sell. It's a very hard sell. So, and politicians know about this. And you'll find, therefore, unfortunately, some of our politicians do not, therefore, want to uplift the living standards of the people. Why? Because they know that if these people are lifted up, they will be independent and they can make independent decisions. So keep them poor. And so our monies go into the pockets of rich individuals, and they keep eating from us year after year, election after election. Why is it, Suzanne, that we elect individuals with our own votes? We queue from morning to night on electoral day. Some of us are rained on. The sun shines on us and beats on us. We are hungry, and we elect these individuals. We take them to leadership position. 2-3 months down the road, we are so disgusted by those people. We want them out. What does it tell you?
Maybe we didn't understand what we were voting for.
We didn't care who we were voting for. We are only caring after now the thing is passed. And this has happened election after election after election. So it's not a new thing. So as long as we are going to be voting without thinking through carefully the kind of people that we put in, we will continue in this race, in this cycle, where you get 100 shillings and then the MP goes in and takes
for the next 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
So ours as church is to tell people, these people are going to determine whether you remain in poverty or
not.
you move on to the next level.
Yeah.
So issues are there.
Yeah.
But we prefer
not to
follow them.
I was thinking as a church member also. So for I would want, this is just wishful thinking. If I was like, I really want my church to speak about this. So for example, they're raising NHIF charges, and they're making sure that the insurance will prioritize civil servants. And if you have any other insurance, then you will not be able to access any NHIF or something like that. And even when they're prioritizing civil servants, then that doesn't guarantee you if you don't have any other insurance. That can be a little bit oppressive, and it'll be oppressive for most church members. So in my view, I was like, okay, if I wish my church leaders would talk about this and be like, this is hurting X amount of my population, of my congregation, stuff like that, so that we engage with the church in between election cycles. And then by the time it gets to the election, and they're like, listen, you need to remember. You remember how we argued about NHF? You remember how we did about CG taxes? Now, if we're going to vote, let's look at this and this and this. Ask those people this and this and this. Then maybe you can guide that conversation better and completely away from tribes. So we're actually talking about NHIF, which is one issue. We're talking about taxes, which is another issue. So that's my wishful thinking. I don't know.
It's not wishful thinking. It's the reality. The unfortunate thing is that the NHIF issues are so many.
There's so many.
So many.
Yeah. So it's picking one.
Which will you talk about and which will you do? If you have been reading the statements by church leaders every so often, and you find we list
a number
of these things.
Yeah.
But we are in a country of a crisis. Let me just call it that way. We are in crisis every day. If you have sorted out an NHIF, somebody is stealing money for the dam. You need to talk about that. And somebody has diverted money for the road. And somebody has... I mean, we are... The solution is when we as Kenyans will become tired of choosing people according to our tribes and according to money.
Yeah.
Because tribes only comes in at the national level.
Yeah.
When you're choosing presidents and so on. At the local level, it's not tribe.
Yeah.
It is money.
Probably the same tribe.
We are all tribe, the same tribe.
Yeah.
So it is money.
Yeah.
So look at the kind of people that sometimes we elect. You just get so...
you get frustrated.
Frustrated is the word,
Yeah.
How can you even elect such a person to be a governor?
Yeah.
To be your member of parliament? How?
Yeah.
But because these people are the ones who have the money, which they have stolen from you, then you elect them into office.
Yeah.
This is where you, Suzanne, and the young people can make a difference because you are a big majority. The young people are a big majority in this country.
Yeah.
If you decide that we are going to elect only people of integrity, people who can make a difference in this country, you can. But as long as you choose to remain part of the gang, part of the mob, part of the people who benefit from the handouts, then you are going to remain unemployed.
Yeah.
Because once these people are going to office, they will not remember you.
That's true.
They are there for themselves.
Yeah.
So you have the opportunity to make a difference.
Yeah. And even like while we're on that point, and just as we wind up, talk to those young people, because a lot of young people really don't care about politics. In fact, they switch off they don't know. In fact, when I was doing this BBI series,
Yeah.
I asked one of my friends, does Kenya have a prime minister? Because I was trying to find out how to explain what the proposals are. And she asked me, kwani kazi ya Raila inakuanga gani? And you see, that this person is university educated. Like, it's someone who is knowledgeable. And so a lot of young people are very disconnected from politics. What would you say, as speaking to us maybe as our father in this context, why should we be involved in this kind of space?
Because if you don't get involved, you are going to be the sufferers. Because you see, the people of my generation and above, the older ones, we have only a few more years to go. That is the reality. It's not good to say. Another 50 years, I'll not be around, Suzanne.
Okay.
I will not.
Yeah.
Even if you want to interview me.
Yeah. We hope you'll still be here.
I will not. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Whichever way I go, I will not be here. 50 years, most likely you'll still be around as a grandmother,
yes, most likely.
And so on. Okay. What kind of nation would you want to be and to see your grandchildren live in?
Yeah.
That nation is being formed now. And if you stay aloof and you don't do anything about it, then you are going to be crying with the rest of the people. It's very interesting, and you raised a very interesting point. When we were in the university, in the
which university were you in?
I was in the University of Nairobi.
Shout out to you guys who are in UN. Comment down below if you're in that uni.
I was in the University of Nairobi. It's amazing how politically alive we were. We were concerned about issues that are happening in the nation. We were concerned about issues that are happening in the continent. We are concerned about issues that are happening in the world.
Yeah.
If you had the University of Nairobi students went on a riot, it was not for food.
It was a big problem.
It was a political issue, how the country is run or not being run. I remember one time we had a whole riot because of something that was happening in West Africa.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yes. So I get so concerned that the young person of today, the young graduate of today, doesn't even know that prime minister,
We don't have a prime minister.
It tells you. So how are you then going to elect these people?
Yeah.
The person who gives you a handout.
Yeah.
The person who shouts the loudest. The person who seems to know what he's doing. But these people, during election season like we are in right now, all politicians are very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, they are so good. They will promise you heaven, but let me tell you, they'll deliver you hell.
Yeah.
So if the young people cannot arise to this occasion and take the destiny of the nation, you are going to be crying in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years, when now you mature up and you realize this is not the Kenya I thought we would be in. But it's being shaped now.
Yeah. But even just to clarify, we are crying now. Like a lot of us are suffering from lack of, jobs and all that. So
you are crying now.
Yeah.
But in the midst of your crying, wipe your tears
and pick it
and
up.
do the right thing.
Yeah.
Do the right thing. Make the right choices.
Yeah.
Because the fruit of tomorrow is planted with the seed of today.
That's a good one. The fruit of tomorrow is planted with the seed of today.
So if you could be crying now. In fact, if I quote the Bible says Psalm 126 that blessed are those who sow in tears, for they will reap a harvest of joy.
Amen.
So while you are in this jobless situation, while you are in this poverty situation, while you are in this oppressed situation, make the right choices.
Okay.
The power of the vote is so important that if your vote and my vote and the other person's vote and the other person's vote, all of us without jobs. Okay? But we make the right choice. It could determine whether you have a job tomorrow.
Amen.
Or whether you stay jobless for another 10 years.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. And that's very powerful. And guys, you're watching this. If you've not registered to vote, you can always pick up your vote at a Huduma Center anywhere near you. We're getting ready to vote in the next election. So please don't be left behind. Let's get involved in these political processes because, as Bishop said, they determine our lives.
It does.
Yeah.
If you don't have an ID card and you're already 18 and above, go get it. There's a time when I was pastor in Valley Road. I don't know whether you were there.
I must have been there.
when I asked, elections were coming around the corner and people were registering for to vote, taking their voters card. And I came in the church on a Sunday morning and I said, how many of you do not have a voter's card? You are there?
I was there, yeah.
Because I found that so many of our members had not even taken a voter's card.
Yes.
Some of them didn't have IDs and they were over 18.
Yeah.
How are you going to determine the future of the nation if you don't have an ID and you don't have a voter's card? Those are two of your weapons that no one can deny you, whether you are jobless or not.
Yeah.
And the third thing is what you do with them. To sell your vote for 1,000 shillings is to sell your future.
Yeah.
And I know that when people are jobless and you're hungry, what I call the Esau syndrome. Who cares?
You take the bowl of soup.
You take the bowl of soup. But you will be looking for that soup again next week and it will not be there.
It won't be there.
You better plant that seed now and reap a harvest later. That's how nations have been changed.
Yes, absolutely.
And mainly by young people.
Yes, that's true. All right, so we're coming to the end of the podcast session today. And this has been very interesting. I think just as we finish, maybe you can let us know. Whether Bishop retired, so he can let us know what he's doing now.
Do you have to keep repeating?
We need to know where you are, where we can find you. Actually, you can even tell us where we can find you on social media if someone wants to follow you and know what you do.
I am there mainly on Twitter, yes.
Mainly on Twitter.
Mainly on Twitter, yes.
What's your Twitter handle?
At Oginde.
At Oginde. Okay.
Yes.
So we'll put that in the description box as well if you'd like to follow Bishop.
Yes.
But just as we finish, let us know what you're up to, how we can plug in if you'd like us to plug in.
Yes, plug in. Actually, as I said earlier at the beginning, for those of you who are with us from the beginning, I'm very passionate about leadership development for the reasons that we talked. Many years ago, let me give a longer story in a brief way.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think I must have been in my late 20s or early 30s. And I got concerned, just like you are now, about the leadership of the nation and how things are going. And I asked myself, is there anything that can be done to change how leadership is done, not just in Kenya, but in Africa? And I got very passionate about it. I began to find out if there's anything I can do. I may not change the world. I may not change the country, but I could change 2 people. I could change 3 people. So that is what got me to what I'm doing now. So I went into school to study leadership. So I did a master's in leadership. I went on to do a PhD in leadership. And so now I'm actually basically engaged in leadership development for young people, for individuals, for organizations, if possible, for the nation. Those of you who listen to Hope FM, I have been running a leadership forum since 2009, every Monday, for the same reason. So right now, we just created a consultancy called the Catalyst to catalyze leadership.
Amen.
For everybody.
Okay, the Catalyst.
Yes.
So where do we find the Catalyst? How do we plug into the Catalyst?
The Catalyst, you can go to, we have a website.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can go to thecatalyst.com.
Okay, we'll link that in the description as well.
Yes,
you have social media?
Then yes, you can get in touch with us and we will. I'm very passionate, especially for the younger people, because I know that we can do a lot
Yeah.
with the older people, but the fruit thereof will be very little. We have right now. There's very little, Suzanne, that you can tell me that would change my way of thinking and my way of doing things, because I've been doing it for the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah, that's true.
But for the younger person, hopefully there's a little seed we can plant in you that can then help you to be a better person in whichever space you find yourself. So we are very passionate about leadership development for the younger people and for everybody, but especially for the younger people. So if you go to our website, you'll see some of the things that we want to do.
All right. We'll link the description. We'll link the website in the description, and you can definitely find the Catalyst and plug in as you would like.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Bishop, for coming. This has been a very interesting episode. Personally, even for me, I've learned quite a bit from you. And we will look forward to having you back again in case people have more questions.
Excellent. I'll be happy to.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much. And thanks, guys, for watching. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.